If you have years of unfiled taxes, every case is different. Because the IRS has the general rule, if you have not filed your taxes for like 20 years, should you only go back the last 6 years to be in compliance? Or should you go back and do them as far back as possible? I have a client that recently came on board. He reached out to me and said, "Hey Serge, I haven't filed my taxes maybe in about the last 10 years. And what I found out was shocking, because in reality, he has not filed his tax return for over 20 years. When somebody gets into tax problems, typically there's a life event that occurs, thing leads to another, and all of a sudden 1 year turns to 2, turns to 3, turns to 20. But one of the first things I did was evaluate whether the general 6-year rule applied to him or not. I had to evaluate his total circumstance to see what years we should file and what years we shouldn't file. But looking at his case records, he had IRS issues and also the state of California issues. Now here in California, we do have the Franchise Tax Board, who are like Nazis. They strike fast, they strike first, and they strike hard. And that's exactly what they did to my client. So he came on board. I evaluated his case, and I said, you know what? It's worthwhile to go back and do the last 13 years worth of filing. We're going to override the IRS general rule. And it's to his advantage, and the reasons are because of filing status, deductions, expenses, and plus the IRS actually did some substitute for returns for him. So he had a balance that was over $100,000 with the IRS. But if you picture a debt that high with the IRS, normally the state balances, the state taxes are much less. But he has an equivalent tax of another $100,000 with the state of California. One of the biggest challenges that we did going back 13 years is the fact that with the IRS, only the 10 most recent years are available for wages and income transcripts. And the client didn't have perfect records. He did not have W-2s from 13 years ago. So going back, we did replace the SFRs, and the $100,000 balance with the IRS was definitely dropped and reduced to almost nothing. Now with the state of California, same thing. All that $100,000 balances almost reduced down to nothing. However, he had other years that were just wide open, non-assessed, non-SFR, still outstanding and within that 6-year refile. And he had other tax years that needed to be done because he had tax filing requirements. So we had to catch them all up. At the end of the day, my client will be owing a balance, and what we're going to be doing is putting him on one of the Fresh Start installment plans. And now his balances are now much more manageable compared to the original balances that both the IRS and the state of California try to assess against him. This case would have absolutely been handled differently if he had no SFRs and just had a bunch of years of unfiled taxes. I would have just done the 6-year rule with the IRS. That way he could come out of the shadows with the IRS, put him in that fresh start. That way he could go about and live his best life. My name is Sergio Melendez, an enrolled agent, Juris Doctorate, and as a power of attorney, I have personally resolved hundreds of millions of dollars in back taxes for my clients as their power of attorney. Like this video and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with everything regarding tax relief.